Hey everyone! So I am an expat who's been living in South Korea for quite some time now, working as an ESL teacher. And you might be wondering about the new things that you're seeing in the background. So yes, I have a quokka behind me. So quokkas and other cute Australian animals have become much more popular in South Korea recently. You'll see them a lot in the claw machine games these days. Um, but this relates to today's topic because I got this at this year's Cherry Blossom Festival. And the topic of my video today is the Cherry Blossom Festival and tourism in South Korea. And you might also be wondering why I'm wearing this. And that is because I got it at Everland recently. And if you didn't know, Everland is a Samsung-owned amusement park in South Korea. It's also the place where you can see South Korea's panda family. So that means that there is a lot of panda merch that's very cute. And South Koreans are rightfully obsessed with their panda family that's residing in Everland because they're super adorable. It's very popular among South Koreans. So first, I want to de-influence visiting for or during the Cherry Blossom Festival. And even I'm guilty of making a lot of videos from cherry blossom festivals and taking a lot of pictures. But at the very least, I'm just going to explain why I never tell my friends and family to visit during the Cherry Blossom Festival, unless they're okay with being disappointed. So the cherry blossoms are really disappointing every couple of years, or sometimes they will show up later or earlier than they have been forecasted to show up. So they can stick around for 2 days or 2 weeks, and it can be really hard to forecast. And if the forecast is not looking good, I doubt that people are going to be lining up to share that. So I just can't recommend staking your visit on that. And this year is a perfect example to spread this news. So my boyfriend and I did go to see the cherry blossoms this year, and we were fighting wind and rain all day and all weekend. The weather was not nice. So yeah, there were some pretty flowers behind us, but really it was a really uncomfortable experience for us. Also, this year the trees just didn't bloom that much. There's a lot fewer flowers than I've seen in previous years. My first year in Korea was kind of exactly the same as this year. Very underwhelming and not a lot of flowers. But I do have to admit that the last 2 years were really nice, and the people who showed up for those 2 years were really lucky. And I was lucky to have worked in a place where I could see them bloom and see the flowers bloom and also fall to the ground. It was really, really pretty. And yeah, I was lucky to have worked in an area at that time where I could see that happen. Plus, the weather was very temperate that year, meaning you could go outside and walk around and actually enjoy yourself, unlike this year. I think it's also important to note that even in those 2 years where we did have really nice cherry blossoms and a lot of flowers, and they had like a perfect amount of wind that they fell to the ground and it looked like it was like snowing but not. I did see somebody on Instagram who accidentally visited like a week too early, and the cherry blossoms are basically the first thing to bloom in the spring, meaning that everything around it was still completely dead and beige from the winter. So it's not like it was green, it was like beige. Everything was still dead. And I feel like that person was disappointed by Korea and thought, wow, they probably thought that Korea is like such an ugly country. But no, it's actually very green, and once it blooms, everything, like once a spring happens, like once the flowers like come in everywhere and on all the trees, everything just turns super green and it's really nice. It is also important to note that there will be crowds, and I noticed crowds of people traveling from further away. So sometimes there are crowds and a lot of people from countries closer by to Korea, but some people travel really far for the Cherry Blossom Festival, which is why I'm making this video. But yeah, there will be crowds, whether or not the bloom is good that year. And I think this past year, even when it was worse, the lines for food around the popular spots were just super long because nobody was enjoying the festival. So they went to restaurants and cafes to get food instead. So this year, my boyfriend and I ended up going to Everland for the first time because I saw an advertisement for the Tulip and Sanrio Festival, which he was down to go for. He thought it also looked fun, and so we went for that, and it was super colorful, and it really replaced the disappointment that I had for the cherry blossoms was kind of gone because Everland was really fun and nice. And actually, Everland seemed to be one of the best places to see the cherry blossoms, although again, the trees did not have as many flowers as previous years. Like, there's just not as many flowers. But it was like probably the best place I saw this year. And when you look out on the mountains, you can see that cherry blossoms have bloomed like all over the mountains. Like, you can see like the white spots where the cherry blossoms bloomed, which is like really cool. I've never gotten to see that before. Anyway, I just found it was a great place to see the tulips and the cherry blossoms. Plus, I love Sanrio. So, what do I recommend to people? Late fall. It has to be after monsoon season because the weather is temperate during that time and there's a lot of nice foliage still left. The leaves in Korea don't really turn yellow and fall until really late. So at least it's either going to be very green or you're gonna get fall colors. So it's kind of win-win either way, as long as you come after the monsoon season. The leaves won't fall until at least sometime in November, like mid-November. Usually. It's also a great time to go bike riding. The last 2 weeks would have been a terrible time to go bike riding if you came to spend some time outside in Korea and see the cherry blossoms. It would have been a terrible time to go bike riding. It was cold and super windy. But it's much more temperate in the late fall, and like I said, great time to go bike riding. And you're less likely to just run into really bad wind and rain because that already happened in the monsoon season. But generally, visiting after monsoons is like your safest bet to have like good weather and like a good time. That's all for today. So next time I will be posting a video about how to stay safe as a tourist in South Korea. I'm kind of doing this as like 2-part videos because the second video will be a little bit longer. I'll be sharing some of my and my friends' crazy experiences and things that we've fallen for. And I will be responding to this article from the Korean Herald about tourist scamming in South Korea and sharing some advice for what to do in those situations. And I will be de-influencing so many things that I see people doing on Instagram or YouTube and like getting scammed on. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you so much, and please like this video, and thank you so much if you've made it this far. Bye!